in, they can keep getting in. Yes. So, once again, a very warm welcome to all of you and our guest for today, Mrs. Anna. I would just like to introduce the topic to you all for today, which is having a career in career guidance. And Mrs. Anna is going to help us in really understanding what a career in career guidance would be like. I think before we dive into anything else, I would just like to let you all know a few things, which is one, of course, we would really appreciate that all of you keep yourselves on mute during our conversation so that there is no auditory disturbances while we are having our talk. Apart from that, towards the end, we will have 10 to 15 minutes wherein we will open the platform for all of you. And you guys can ask your individual questions or anything else that you would like to know about this topic to Mrs. Anna directly. Yes. So let me tell you all just a little bit about our guest. She is a highly experienced person in the field of career guidance, and she has been working for more than 30 years now in this field, helping and guiding women and children and anyone whom she can. And she's very passionate about the work that she does. I would like her to tell you all a little bit about what it is that she is doing, and then we can directly dive into some of the questions that I have for you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. And my name is Anna. And professionally, I prefer if you just call me by my first name, just for the ease of everything. I am a career coach, and I have been doing this work since 2014. I initially started my work supporting recent, either like fresh graduates or high school students who were planning to get into colleges, decide what career they need to pick up. And then I realized that let me widen my scope, and also the terrain of my work changed. So I was in India initially, and then I moved to Canada, and over here, I specialize in helping newcomer immigrants and first time job seekers in Canada itself find employment. So there are a lot of distinctions when I saw workplaces. I had worked in two places before I came to Canada in India. And when I came here, I saw that there was a lot of distinction. So it required some retraining and refocusing of attention. But I love what I do, and I am so glad that I am here today with Anisha.
Wonderful. And we are extremely glad to have you here on board with us. So let's get into the topic that is there for today. And while we do that, I think there is a confusion amongst all of us about career guidance or career advisory, a career counselor, or a career educator as well. So, how about you tell us a little about what is the scope of each profession and field, and how would you differentiate between all of them?
Okay. So I'd like to begin by saying that with all the terms that you use, be it a career guide versus counselor versus coach versus educator, there are definite significant overlaps between all these industries. Like these are not exclusive roles, like what A does, B does not do. But there are some nuances that I can share with you. So typically, a career counselor, and now I'm talking very specific to Canada. A career counselor would be somebody who has a master's education in counseling and is registered with a body that is a counseling body that is either local to the province or the state that they are in, or it is local to the entire city, the state, the country that they are belonging to. So that's one, and that's very, very specific to anywhere the word counselor is used. For career coach, you need to have some hours of coaching training and experience. So typically, they have a coaching sheet where you score or you keep a record of all the coaching that you have provided. And if I'm not mistaken, it's 125 hours of coaching that makes you a valid coach in any field, especially when we are talking about people coaching field or soft skills people coaching field. About guide and educator, once again, educator could somewhere again have a background in education, very specifically, or it could be someone who has gone through the ranks of or gone through a career themselves, and now they have the expertise about what career growth looks like in that particular field, and then they can become a guide in that field. So this is where the distinctions are. But like I said, these distinctions are not set in stone, and these are not mutually exclusive. They are very they overlap significantly. So I'll give you my example. I have a master's degree in psychology, but I am not registered with a local coaching body, sorry, counseling body. So I will not call myself a career counselor, but I could use any of the other terminology. It could be career coach, it could be career educator, it could be career guide, career advisor. I could use that any of those interchangeably. I hope I answered the question.
Yes, I think that does clarify that in its own sense, where while everyone might be working in assisting and showing a pathway to people, there are different, in some places, educational backgrounds that they need to have or experience that they would need to have to become a particular person in career guidance. Great. So you gave us a little bit of insight about what one might need to do. Like you said, for someone to become a career coach, there are some 100 hours or so of training that they would need to go to. So, what exactly is the process of becoming a career guide or a career coach? If you could tell us in more depth.
Okay. So I will tell you the comparison and contrast between becoming or creating a career in career guidance in India versus in Canada. In India, there is still no typical course that exists which specializes in career coaching. Typically people would go to training like a master's degree in psychology, or even like a postgraduate degree in psychology. That could be a counseling psychology or a human resources psychology background. Again, it really depends where you are looking to use those skills. If you are going to use your career coaching skills or your career counseling skills in helping people who are already employed plan their career trajectory about how, or succession planning, then you need more of HR skills. If you are someone who is going to help students find employment, then you need to have more of those clinical and counseling skills. So the orientation will determine. But as I mentioned, there is I still haven't heard of a very focused typical course, like a diploma or a degree program that is run by any of the major institutes, which focuses only or exclusively on career counseling or career coaching. Compared to Canada, there are several diploma programs that exist. So there are typically a diploma program would be a 2-year program where you enroll in the program. They give you and it's a mix of education. You are attending classes like a normal student would, and a practicum that is associated with the education for you to complete the diploma program, which helps you gain that experience and achieve those number of hours that you are aiming to achieve that
Mhm,
title.
mhm,
So these are the two typical pathways. Now, like I said, people also take other pathways where they have been through a process, they have been through the zigzags of the career trajectory, and they have expertise in how to proceed in that career trajectory. So then they become specialists in that particular career. That's where it's less of how should I say, it was less of education dependent careering skills, but it's more of experience dependent careering skills.
mhm. All right. Okay. And while you were telling us about this, of course, to become a career counselor, you said there is that mandate of having a master's degree, then further going into getting the licensing done
Mhm.
to be called a counselor.
Mhm.
But for these other pathways, which is career guide or coach or educator, to what extent do you think it might be important to have psychology as a background?
Um, Now, I will not be able to give you an answer of a curriculum developer, because this answer will be very helpful for for a curriculum developer. But I can give you a personal experience. It really helped me. Psychology, having a background of psychology, really helped me, because first it helps you develop skills of client orientation and client service. That is one thing, okay?
Mhm.
But other than that, also, like, it really helps develop skills, it really helps develop the confidence to interact with people, and to be comfortable with the idea that people are going to come to you with a problem. Number of times people get very flustered when they are put in situations where they like, it's a job description that a person is going to come with a problem. Nobody goes to a counselor of any sorts. It could be a career counselor, it could be a clinical counselor. It doesn't matter what your nature of work is. But that's what I'm saying, like, the main thing is that it gives you the confidence to, how should I say it, service your skills in a way where you are comfortable knowing that there is some problem that is going to come, and I am going to be responsible to be providing solution for this problem, and also being okay with the idea that I might not know the answer right now. So this is another training that, as having an education in psychology, was made very clear to us that your job is not to um like, give them a handwritten solution that this is, hey, this is the formula, and go and apply in your life. And there are situations where that will not even be possible, because of the very nature of the problem that you have been told about.
Mhm.
But it doesn't mean that you have to let it be. It definitely doesn't mean that. It's okay. You can always say that, give me some time, I'll review this, I'll get myself educated on it, I'll get some more details, and I'll get back to you. So that's where psychology helps.
Mm. Quite grateful to hear about this. So, while you're telling us about your experience of how psychology has helped you, how about you tell us a little about your experience in the field itself and what the scope of your work is, whether it was when you were here in India and now over there in Canada?
Okay. So, okay, this is what I can tell you. So when I was in India, my work was very much focused at, because of the sheer volume. Okay, I was serving students who were either going to go into grade 11, so ninth, 10th that time, or students who had finished their grade 12 and now they are looking to go to higher education, a college, a university, or some professional degree.
Mhm.
So, and that what segment of population that we were serving, the volume was huge. So my role used to be like, anytime we used to have people come in for, we need an aptitude counseling or we need a career counseling, the first thing was, let's do an assessment for all of you. So we would do an assessment. We would create a report, and then we would do a group counseling session where we would explain the report to a classroom full of people. I remember the maximum, I think, that I have served, and this is students and their parents sitting together. So the maximum that I have served was 64 people at a time. So the like I said, it's a parent and a student together,
Mhm.
and that was the highest number that, and it was the class capacity also. After that, what we do is, we said that, now if you have specific questions, we can set up individual appointments and we can then provide further service to you, because now we are not starting from scratch in explaining what are the scope of career possibilities for your ward, but we have established that, and now you could have specific questions about maybe this thing that, oh, you know what, I can see that his aptitude has a scope of being a great physicist and an engineer. So what do you think, or or how should I decide, or I feel he's brilliant in all ways, but I feel he should focus on becoming a chartered accountant, and he feels that no, he's really not interested in that. He's more oriented towards civil services. So how do we understand? And it was also a interesting time, because we would see the negotiation that was going on between the parent and the child. So that used to be the typical day of providing career counseling services to clients in India. There were several exceptions to the rules, so I wouldn't go to that. Now, typically in Canada, it's first thing I wanted to say is that roles are very, very specialized over here. So, my specialized role in Canada is to help newcomer immigrant women. So, it's that specific. So, first of all, they're newcomers to Canada. Secondly, they are immigrant. And thirdly, they're women. Okay. So, newcomer immigrant women to Canada, I help them understand Canadian work culture. I help them understand and access resources that will help them balance their um, home responsibilities as well as the work responsibilities that they are looking at. And third, and this is probably the most important thing, and then how, knowing where they are right now, knowing what their financial situation is, what their family situation is, and whatnot, what are the next steps that need to go in right now so that they are able to achieve that career goal. So this is where it becomes much more specific. It's very rare that the first step has been to give a test in Canada. It is more that we are trying to assess their needs. We are trying to assess um, what is the goal that they are trying to reach, and what is the gap between, and how can, and my job is to find out how can this gap be made like as shorter as possible and as soon as possible. So people come into the country with maybe 6 months of reserve funds, and that's about it. So that's the only time I have in helping them find employment, right?
Mhm.
So that's basically what my role looks like. Career coaching, India versus Canada, or I would say India and Canada together.
Right. Okay. And I remember initially in our conversation today itself, you were saying that you had to get yourself on track and just keep educating
Yeah.
yourself a little more about what's happening and how the field is. So, did that in some way come from perhaps the differences in even the careers itself among perhaps what it was in India and what it is like in Canada?
For sure, for sure. So when I came in, I had to do about 14 weeks of internship before I could grasp anything in terms of professional skills, application of professional skills. So I had to do a 14 weeks of internship plus 7 weeks of in-class training to be able to at least make some small transition over in my career. So that being said, it I have also made it a point that I'm continuously educating myself. So last year in I think it was February, I finished a certificate in adult education and learning and development. So the reason was not because, again, it was job mandated. It was just that as you're serving people, you realize that you need to have some more tools in your bucket. You need to have some more skills in your repository, and you need to be able to use them to serve your clients. So what's the best way to do that? It's to keep upgrading yourself, and your clients are bound to come and challenge you. Like the more they challenge them, the more you're able to serve them, plus you're able to grow also. So it goes both ways. It's That's how essential it is.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, wonderful. And in this experience of people coming and challenging you, whether in your job itself or before you got into this field also as well, were there any time that anyone would come with you with certain misconceptions about the field or certain misconceptions about what you are doing in this
Yeah.
field?
Oh, every day. So I would say this thing that that misconception was in fact less when I was in serving clients in India. Like they were very clear because the process was very it was it was a one solution fit all process that we had arranged. Assessment, group counseling, and then individual counseling on case by case basis. So they were very clear about it, and it was, like I said, it was a one solution fit all model. It's not possible in Canada because, like I said in the beginning, careers are very specialized over here. So what I used to help somebody in a banking industry versus somebody in social work industry versus somebody in engineering versus somebody in medical industry are going to look very different. And then if I have to go a level deeper, what I use for somebody in banking industry who is looking to do retail banking versus business banking is going to look very different. So it is impossible to have a one solution fit all model. um, this is, I would say, like this somewhere I feel also answers your question, because it is impossible to define it in just one way. And that's why it is our duty to also educate our clients every time they come in, because we know that they will have misconception. Typical misconception is that I'm going to give them a job, and I say that I wish I can do that. I wish I had some magical skills, and I'll be like, jobs. I'll be a billionaire if I had that ability. However, I can, again, the general education that I give them is I will see where you are right now. So in terms of, like, again, like your education, your experience, your family status, your financial status, your social status right now, I will see what your goal is, where you really want to be, and I will help you bridge this gap, bring this gap as close as possible, so you're able to make this transition as rapidly as possible and as effectively as possible. So it's an education we have to give every time we interact with any new client.
Mhm. And somewhere while you were saying this, it kind of made me think that perhaps some people even think of, when they come to you, they think of you as a hiring agent. So
Yeah, true,
the
true,
bridge
true.
between companies and them.
True, and that's another role too. Like
Mhm.
a recruiter is another role, and it's a very specific role. And again, I think it might sound shocking, but again, there are industry specific recruiters. So let's say if I'm even a recruiter, and if I recruit for IT industry, and you come to me and you say, "Hey, I want a job in a bank," I will say I can't help you because I don't recruit for that. It's very specific.
Mhm.
Specialization is very critical in Canada. I can tell you that much.
Mhm. Mhm. Wow. Okay, that gives us quite a different view, because out here we do have our specializations, but it may not be as stringent as it is over there, or as minute as it is over there. Yeah. So then, what are some of the other challenges that you may have faced in this journey of yours, or you think people, if not you, may face in this journey of becoming a career coach?
If you want to become a career coach, and I'll tell you this thing, I think now it's true for all professions in the world. Maybe I could count a few of them out, but I don't think so. I think it's true for um, the only way you can succeed in any discipline, especially career coaching, is that you ensure that you're educating yourself continuously.
Mhm.
The world is changing rapidly. I was just I mean, like, we were having a discussion just before we welcomed everyone in, and I cannot think my life if or imagine my life if somebody tells me that, hey, let's pack up your laptop and your mobile phone, and let's like light it up on fire and you go ahead with your life. And I'll say that that's not possible. I have to talk to people, I have to do my reports, I have to create resumes and job search documents and whatnot. It is not possible to do away with it. Having said that, this tools that we are using are rapidly evolving, and I would say sometimes to the point of evolving before even we can um, gain expertise in it or gain some sort of a mastery in it.
Mhm.
And because it's changing that rapidly, you have to keep learning. And learning doesn't mean that you have to do a course. If you want to do a course, fantastic. There are several hundreds of open online courses that are called MOOCs, massive online open courses, that you can access just at the click of a button, $0 fees or zero rupee fees, and you can get all the knowledge in the world. That's not the only thing. The thing is that you are learning whatever you are learning, either on the job or in the classroom or through a typical online program. You are applying it, and that is what my definition of growth is. Like, if you want to have success, you need to be continuously learning and continuously applying and reforming and reviewing. I'll give you an example. Last year, when we were so suddenly shut down, and I know everybody on this call had some or other form of experience of this.
Yeah.
We went into a lockdown without any heads up,
Mhm.
all of us, okay, or maybe a heads up of just a few hours. um and our office is, because it's a client facing work, we never had laptops. We just had to give our service, like we had to go to office and we had our desktop. And now suddenly we are expected to do everything. Like, we were supposed to change all our function to a home office. And it was very disruptive, especially for the first 1 month, because we didn't know what we were doing. And the sad thing was that nobody knew what they were doing and how they should be doing it.
Mhm.
So I remember that the first 1 month, there was so much learning that we were doing. We went crazy to find out. Like, we were reaching out to other organizations in the area. We were trying to understand, okay, what are you doing? How are you reaching clients? How are you taking details? How are you providing services? Can you do a session for us where you are teaching us? Okay, now that I have some knowledge, I am every day applying it to see what is working, what is not working, so that I can create an effective home office from myself, my clients, and then the organization that I work for. Right. So that happened very, very rapidly. So that's my thing. Like, you have to be a learner for life. If
Mhm.
that's not your jam, then the growth success is not going to have the same definition that it had for a generation before us, or I wouldn't say even a generation before us. Maybe somebody who entered the job market 20 years ago will not have the same need that I have, who entered the job market 10 years ago,
Mhm.
and will not have the same need as compared to a lot of you who might be just entering the job market or have just had a couple of years of job experience. So that's going to look very different.
Mhm. Yeah. And I think, like you rightly said, that this is something that is there for every sector that you might be working in, where you just have to keep learning and
True.
developing yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm.
No other way out.
Brilliant. So I think with that, while you did give this message and note to everyone that you have to keep learning and evolving with time, is there any other note that you would like to give to the newcomers of this career field of career guidance and coaching?
So yes, for sure. Keep learning. Um, Give yourself, like, celebrates even small wins. Yeah, you were able to serve one client. And this is again, yes, I think this is a point that I should mention. When we are serving clients, or when we begin in this journey, we'll see maybe one client in a week, and we feel very disappointed that, oh, I made this business card for myself, or I made this website for myself, and I have one client in a week. What the hell is going on? Why aren't people coming? See, this career coaching or most type of counseling roles, these are things that snowball. you will see that after a couple of weeks, if you are doing it right, if you are doing all that needs to be done, you will see that you will have 2 clients in a week, and then you will have 4 clients in a week, and then it will have that snowball effect. But you have to be patient, you and to patient with the process and kind to yourself. You cannot be kicking yourself or hitting yourself on the head if you're not getting the number of clients that you expected on day one. It rarely happens. I'm not saying it's impossible. I never use the word impossible, because I think the word impossible itself is challenged every second of the day. So I will not say that, but I will definitely say that it's very rare to have like a caseload of clients on day one, but it will build to it. So be patient with the process, be kind to yourself, and keep learning.
That was beautiful. That was lovely to hear. And yes, to everyone out there who's wanting to get into this career, just be patient and kind, and it'll start with one and then reach many, many more if done well and right. Great. So I think with that, I am done with all the questions that I may have for you.
Yay.
Yes, and I would just like to open up the platform to anyone in our audience who might want to ask Anna anything that you feel. You can come on video and ask, or you can drop a message in the chat box and I can ask for you. Uh,
Guys, this is a good time to practice this or practice this. Sorry if I interrupted anyone.
yes, I think Nisha has raised her hand. Yes, Nisha, you can come on camera. Yeah.
Hello. Yeah, good evening.
Hi,
I'm
good
sorry
evening.
I'm not in a situation to like switch on the camera right now, but can I ask my question?
Yes, please do.
Yeah, so like I'm an MA in psychology student. I'm pursuing masters in Delhi right now, and I'm also an artist, like I'm a professional dancer. So because ma'am, you've been in your field for a very long time now, and according to you, I mean, because you must have seen a lot of careers around you because you guide people for that. So what according to you is in real demand in this world of guidance or counseling? I mean, guidance and counseling are two different things, but then there are certain areas I'm really curious to know about. Is that counseling in which field particularly could be a smart option to take up, or is expressive art therapy a scopy subject, or a clinical, like being a clinical counselor can be a good thing? Yeah, I mean, I acknowledge that interest is important. I mean, scope to har cheez mein hota hai, but for me, I'm a kind of person who develops interest very easily, so I put scope as my priority. So what do you think? Can you like suggest me anything?
So, first of all, thank you for the question. And secondly, your question is very broad. Okay. Now, I will help you narrow the question. So, when you ask for what is the scope that I look for, I will ask you a counter question, and I will ask anybody who's trying to practice or is interested in practicing psychology of or psych counseling of any sorts. This is a good question. So I'll ask the question, okay, why? So let's say if you gave me 3 options, that one was dance movement therapy, another was guidance and counseling, and third one was clinical counseling. And I would say that, okay, so why are you interested in option one, option two, and option three? Why a number of times will eliminate any of that option which is, you just added because everybody was adding it. Okay, because as soon as you have that word why, it really eliminates all the lagging options. Let's say you are left with 2 options now, so it's easier to deal with 2 options. So then, to explain to you scope of work, it depends upon where you are going to practice. It depends upon what is your ideal target audience going to be, and it depends upon where do you see yourself 5 to 10 years from now. So that's another great question for anybody who's trying to or intending to practice career counseling. Ask the question, where do you see yourself 5 to 10 years from now? It helps clarify situation. And people would say, oh, 5 to 10 years from now, I'm looking at a corporate job. And I say, okay, that's one thing. What are you doing with your life? Are you married? Do you have children? Are you in a committed relationship? What's happening with your parents? What's the scene with the children that you are having? Are they going to school? Now, these will look like very overwhelming questions, but what it does is it gives you 5 years from now, if I'm just looking at job, and if I'm just thinking that, oh, I'm working in corporate sector and everything is hearty and happy, and that's a very, very myopic way of looking at things. So I always encourage people that, no, just describe what your typical day is going to look like, what your life is going to look like, and it could be far off 5 years later from the circumstances you imagine. But the circumstances you imagine, or you expect, or you anticipate, helps us decide what steps you need to take today. Okay, so that's another thing that I do. If you're wanting to look in Canada about scope of any job, you can go to this website called jobbank.gc.ca, and or I should give you the full thing, www.jobbank.gc.ca. Basically, it is a government research page of all the professions, or I would say all the major professional brackets, and then you can find the nuances in themselves, and you get a fantastic summary of what the scope of work looks in the entire train of Canada. Unfortunately, I don't think there is a tool like this available in India, which like a national data tool that is available in India. But if you are able to develop expertise in any field, be it guidance and counseling, clinical counseling, or dance movement therapy, you will be able to shine. You will be able to perform. So ask your whys, ask your 5 years from now life situation, not just career situation, your life situation. And that should be able to give you great, much more clarity than whatever you're having right now. Nishtha, if you still have some follow-up question, you can ask right now.
No, I feel really convinced as of now because I just started with masters. So I think, yeah, you have given me a broader view. I guess I have to go with it. I don't
Right.
have any following questions, ma'am.
Yeah, and you can test it. Okay, this is again another thing. Like, let's say you want to, you can test it. Go volunteer in a place where they are looking for somebody with counseling, with psychology and dance skills, if that is where you want to see your, like, or feel how your career is going to be. So, and that's true for anybody. Like, you can
Yes.
test, go just volunteer in that place, and you should have some idea about what you really want to do.
Yeah, makes sense, ma'am. Makes sense. Yes. Thank
All
you.
the best.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nishta, for your question. Now, in the chat box, I'm sure you can also see there are lots of questions which have come in. So I'll just start by taking a few. One of them is, what are the psychometric tests a career counselor should use? So what would
Should should I don't know. Could, there are several.
you?
um, in India, when I was serving students, help me decide what their higher education is going to look like. I was helping them with GATB for aptitude, EPPS for which is Edwards Personal Preference Schedule for personality, and then the Raghu Rajpal test inventory for interest. Okay, so that was what I was doing when I was in India. In Canada, there are the website that I just told you about, that is www.jobbank.gc.ca. It has its career quizzes, but another that I use is career cruising. It's a paid test, so you can still go and see what the website looks like. So it's careercruising.com. But it's if you want to access the test, it's paid. And then there is also another test by the name of ONET. So it gives a holistic idea. So that's again, like, these tests I wouldn't really just block them as psychometric, but yes, it does involve some sort of psychological evaluation, and there are numbers that is involved. So by that definition, it is definitely psychometric, but not what typically we would use in India. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah. And I think using those three, like, I'll just talk about what you said in India, you were using those three different tests, which is personality, interest, and I think aptitude. really gives like that 360-degree view of exactly who this person is in front of you and how we can now help them in reaching.
Sure. And this used to be my opening sentence to all group counseling sessions that we had for career. That we have tried, the reports are generated based on the responses you have given. So if you feel that the report is not representing you right, it is because, or it is highly possible because the responses you gave weren't as authentic as they should be.
Mhm.
However, having said that, for those who feel that, oh, yes, this report mirrors me 100%, no document in the world can describe a person. Okay. And you can just put the person onto batteries of tests. It doesn't matter. The person, I'm very Gestaltian in this thinking, because the whole is always greater than the sum of parts. So you can have several batteries of tests compiled and pushed together into one summarized note. It is still not the person who he or she is. So these are just, I would say, the tests are just like markers or guides that this is some information we have. So it's like a map. It's a map is not the city.
Mhm.
Okay, it's just that, oh, like, this is what it looks like. This is, if I take this route, this is where I will end up. It just gives you a direction, but it is not the city itself. So you have to be able to make that distinction between an assessment of any sorts, no matter how
Mhm.
brilliant it is, and the actual person.
Mhm. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Okay, so I think I'll just move on to the next question now. I hope that answers your question about the psychometric test. Um, yeah, great. Okay, next question. And there's one direct question, which is someone wants to become a career counselor and has just asked if you could suggest some distance learning courses for the same.
Okay, so I would not be able to give you that, like, that open advice, and I'll tell you why. Because I don't know what you have studied right now. um because say, for example, if you are a student of psychology, you would already have some training. So I would just ask you to develop your knowledge of the assessments, the career assessments that are there, and the application, and coaching based on the career assessments. That is what I would say. However, please go and check out massive online open courses. Okay, so once again, I'm going to repeat it. MASSIVE, massive open online courses. It's short for MOOCs. Um, Once you check there, please put whatever you are looking for. You can use the word so you can use the keywords like career. Put the word career over there, and it will give you several options. And then you need to make a decision at that time that, okay, you know what, this is somewhere where I feel that this information would help me. Take that course, attend that course, gain that knowledge, apply that knowledge, and then see how that works for you. If you are and after If you are looking to come and practice in Canada, there is like I said, there are 2-year diploma programs for career diploma in career coaching that is available, and it's available in multiple colleges. So you can just check the title, diploma in career coaching or counseling, and there will be several options that will be available to you.
Great. All right. So I think the next question is on a slightly similar note, where she's asking, would he or she is asking, would it be a good option to pursue a course in career coaching after completing a master's from India?
No, I understand that, but like it really depends upon you. Why do you want to do career coaching? And where do you see yourself 5 years from now? Guys, I have given you the trade secrets. Apply them. ask yourself that question. See, this is where it's a good practice to also understand that the career coach is not going to answer questions for you. A career coach is going to ask you questions and make you answer them. So very, very important. Okay, career coach doesn't mean that, oh, this is your prescription, please follow it to the letter. No, it's not like that.
Yes. Just, I think there's one question. If you could just repeat the website that you had stated for the online courses,
Mm, uh,
perhaps you
I'll
can put
just
it in the chat box.
Yeah, I will just so Google these words in the same order that I'm typing it. Okay,
Mhm.
so it's massive open online courses. Short is MOOCS. So this is what I've put in. Right.
Okay. So I think someone had raised their hand, but I missed on your name. Yeah, Natasha. Would
Hi, I just wanted to ask, like, you correctly mentioned about personality, interest, and aptitude, all three being in alignment before choosing a person's career. I just want to know that, like, even when we take the 16 PF, there are a lot of they themselves give certain careers which are most likely to be aligned with your personality. But how accurate do you think they are? And when we talk about personality, interest, and aptitude, which one do you think plays the major role in determining someone's success in that career?
Oh God. Okay. Um, I'm really tempted to say aptitude, but it will be so unfair, and I'll tell you why. Because again, the sum is the whole is greater than the sum of parts. Please, please, please remember that it's impossible to just look at or just choose one side over the other. I have seen people. I have seen my own report. Okay, where I was like, I my skills were my aptitude was indicative of something, my personality was indicative of something, my interest was indicative of something, and I did all three. And that's okay. I will just say that let's say if you're doing this assessment, you share the report with your client. Let your client respond. Let ask your client that from this report, what feels like where you feel your heart is, where what is that place, what feels more close to your heart for in this report that you are seeing. And first of all, identify if there is really conflict between the reports, or those reports could just be backing up each other. Okay. Once the client says that, you know what, this is what I feel where my heart is, and this is my plan B and plan C, now you have something concrete to play with. So that's okay. You are going to, or this is again like it's my way of functioning, that I allow my client to take the lead, but I'm also going to, my job is to, like, again, like I said, it's going to clear the path. So whatever path you want to walk on. Now it is possible that the client comes and they ask, or they talk about a path which is either very difficult or not applicable in their situation. I'll give you an example, and I'll give you an example in Canada terms, because I don't know what it is for Indian terms. To work in the Canadian Armed Forces, you need to be a Canadian citizen. The last age that they take to recruit anybody for even like to enter the armed forces is 38. Now let's say I have somebody who is 45 years old who comes to me and says that I want to join the Canadian Armed Forces. I have to educate them that I understand your passion of being able to work, of wanting to work in that. What is the interest that you're trying to fulfill? What is the aptitude that you're wanting to use? What is the personality that is having this heavy desire of working in the Canadian Armed Forces? So they give you the list of reason, and you are like, okay, so we'll still explore if there is any opportunity in that career. However, what is your plan B and what is your plan C? Never leave your client without a plan B and a plan C. Always have something for them to fall back on, because otherwise, um, there is no room for flexibility. And when people live a life where there is no room for flexibility, they get stifled, and they get overwhelmed also. There is no room. Imagine, like, you are just in a box. Like, what scope do you have? You are bound to feel stifled and overwhelmed. So leave your clients with option B and C too. That's what I can say. I hope, Natasha, I answered your question.
Yes, I think, and more so because you explained it with such a good example. I mean, you laid it out very clearly. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Natasha.
Thank you.
Great. So we have one question, which is if you could suggest any books. So I am not sure if this is books about career psychology or books about psychology, but if there's any reference material that you may have about.
Sure. Hold on a second.
Perfect.
So now again, the books that I'm giving you is what I have applied once I came to Canada. I'm not sure how accurately this would apply to other geographies of the world, but I'm still going to suggest this. So this is the first one. And I would like, even if you don't use this book, I would say, please, 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 if you can read this book, it gives you fantastic insight on understanding job as a part of life. So this is where people make a mistake, that either they have job very, very segmented, or they believe that job is the only thing they need to do. So The Job of Your Life by Karen Schaefer, this is the book. Guys, if you are taking pictures, you can do that right now. Okay, so this is one book that I advise to everyone who is looking to understand what career is. The second book is What Color is Your Parachute? Okay, and this is again, I had read this book even before I came to to Canada, but it is written by Richard N. Balls, Bolles, and yeah, so it's a practical manual for job hunters and career changers. Then these are some books that I have used over the time. So this is if you're looking for psychometric assessments, this is a good book. That is Do What You Are. It is written by Paul and Barbara Teeger. So Do What You Are. Uh, this is a good book if you're looking for psychometric assessments. It has several psychometric assessments. It has several suggestions of how you can make assessments. So I shouldn't use the word psychometric, that could be misleading. There's another book, Career Distinction, by William Aruda and Kristen Dixon. Again, it's very, very specific to North America because career over here is very specialized. I'll give you an example of a specialized career versus a generic career. So a generic career would be, let's say, a relay race. A relay race where there are four people in one team, and all of them are doing the same thing. They are running, let's say if it's a 400-meter dash, they're running those 100 meters and they are passing the baton to the next person. Okay, so that's what career looks in India, I would say, or in North Canada, I would say. Over here in Canada or in North America in general, there is more specialization. So let me compare it with cricket. Even if I know what all the other things is, like there is somebody who's a bowling specialist, there is somebody who's a batting specialist. Even in that, they have there is somebody who does that really well. As soon if they are the opening batsman, they are somebody who do it really well when they are somewhere in the middle of that batting. I'm losing my terms, but the batting order, yes, the batting order, right? So that's very, very specialized. Okay, that there is thought that has gone to it. So not everybody is not doing everything. There are roles that are given. The roles interchange, that's okay, but there are roles that are given and specific that you need to serve in that role for that time. And this is a good book for people changing careers. It's called What Next by Barbara Moses. So here are a few books from my library.
Yes, I hope that helps all of you and you guys have some reference reading to reach out to. And
Yes.
of course, if you have any other questions that you may have, since we are running out of time now, I would not be taking up any more questions. But if you do have them, you can ask us or reach out to us on any of our social media platforms or phone number. I think in the chat box you may have found it. And I am almost completely certain that Anna would be more than happy to help you guys out. So we will
Yep.
take all these questions to her, and I'm sure she will have answers for you.
For sure, for sure. Do whatever you've learned today. Again, anytime you attend a session like this or anything close to this, please apply and then come for the next round of learning, because that's how the next step and the next step and the next step takes place.
Absolutely, yes. And thank you so much, Anna, for coming on board with us and really giving us all this knowledge. And you can see in the chat box there are quite a few messages saying excellent session and thank you, thank you.
And thank you so much, Anisha. Thank you, Team Emoticons India, for reaching out. Like, this is not something that we knew each other since a long time, but we reached out, we connected, and that's where magic is created. Like, you don't know where it's going to take place from, but it's taking place from. So yeah.
Absolutely. We are really glad to have you. And yes, we hope that we can keep having you with us and we can continue this collaboration.
Absolutely.
Yes, to everyone else who attended, thank you so much for attending. And we hope that you guys got the learning experience that we wanted you all to have and maybe even more. Thank you and have a great evening or day ahead, whoever is in whichever part of the world. And yeah, you guys can unmute yourselves at this point and thank Anna auditorily if you would like to.
Thank you, madam. It is seriously a wonderful session. We had great time here.
Thank you.